Good morning, Steve Zelenardi here with Treviso North Realty in Toronto. Just a quick update on the current market, 25,093 units. So this dropped just a little bit since last week. And then also we had 900 sales, which that's an increase of like 30% since last week because it was around 600 sold transactions in the last 7 days. We're at 900, which is great news. And now, again, as our business is flowing, we're doing quite well, buying, selling for clients. At the same time, a lot of articles are starting to be published. And last week, I saw the majority of these. And these are topics I was mentioning back in 22, basically the future of how the country is going to look and continuously going on. And this is just a few of the articles here. Let's just have a look. This is CMHC, so Canadian Mortgage Housing Association. So basically, Canada's housing market is now expected to contract in 2026, which we know this is going to contract every year, with home sales prices, housing starts all declining, persistently weak demand, according to the updated forecast with Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. CMHC expects 457,200 homes to change hands this year, down 2.8% from 470 last year. Not a dramatic drop, to be honest, but it is declining. This is what we're going to get at our decrease in value between 6 and 8% per annum, and this is basically until 2030. Let's look at the next one here. This is the foreclosures in Canada. So right now, again, it's not thousands of homes, but the pace of increases starts. December 2025, Greater Toronto recorded 228 active power of sale listings, up 143 a year earlier. That's 59% increase. Again, it's not dramatic numbers, but it is 60% higher than last year. So this is obviously going to be an onward trend. And this is higher than 2009, 2010, when we had, obviously, America had their housing crisis and there was a whole bunch of stuff happening. So this is going to be the height of it all. And this is obviously leveraged. Everyone's just leveraged. This was interesting. Pie graph kind of indicates where and who's in trouble. So as much as we want to look at everyone's in trouble, it looks like more the individual private lenders. So a lot of clients, a lot of people we knew have, $1 million line of credits, and they would lend out privately. So they would lend out a second or a third on a property and then get paid high interest. So this looks like this sector here. So 66% of these foreclosures are private lenders, which are in deep shit, because I was talking about this in 22 and they were like, you should put all your money in private lending. I'm like, are you not reading the market, my friend? And so many colleagues, I know colleagues, supposedly smart people in my industry, and I was scratching my head. I'm like, how can you not see what's happening? How are you going to put money on the street and be a second or third on a mortgage when ultimately you got a decline in depreciation factor coming forward, and you're putting hundreds of thousands of dollars into properties that people can't afford? Clearly, they're just going to walk away from it. The bank's going to take over, get paid, and you're not going to get paid because the appreciation won't be there in order to pay you out. So, yeah, pretty insane. So institutional private, it's 14 points. Big banks, that's obviously our big 6%. B lenders, obviously higher rates at 10%. I don't even know what this Alt A is, but ultimately it's a low percentage. But the bulk is private lending, which is usually people are in trouble to begin with because they're trying to close the property because they have a large deposit down. So they're seeking money outside. And obviously there's sharks, loan shark, if you think about it. So loan sharks are lending this money on high interest, thinking that they're going to either take the property over themselves or get a shitload of interest going forward. But ultimately, that's good in a good market when you're in appreciation. I think Warren Buffett said it the best. You stick to what you know and invest there, and that's always what I did. And I always looked at fundamentals. If the market's going up, you lend money. If the market's going down, you don't lend money. It's just mandatory, unless you have some sort of larger market that you're dealing with and you have better insight than I do. This was another one here. Canadians are increasingly struggling to keep up with their mortgages, especially with high price Ontario markets. I think we just read this one anyway. So did we read this one? We did. So it's the mortgage. Yeah. So this is delinquencies. That's that. And then this is price, amount of homes getting less homes being sold next year or trading hands. And then also the unemployment rate. This was a strange one for me because it says the lowest level in 2 years. I don't remember 6% unemployment rate ever. And unless they're starting to produce the real numbers that weren't produced in the past, and maybe it was higher in the past, but ultimately 6.5% is not good for anybody, especially going forward with when we're going to be facing AI and stuff like that. So just a few things on the market, and this is why we're always holding strong to what we're doing here. It's kind of amazing when we had, clients, we had advised a lot of clients and even family members regarding investment properties. I mean, one of them had a property was worth 900 and change thousand, and we could have made out with them for about a $500,000 in profit. And I don't know if they didn't believe me or didn't trust the process or thought they knew more about the market and the whole thing, but they stood tight, and they went from 900 to like 700 real quick. And then I approached them around that time when it was worth around 680 to 700. I'm like, cash out now. You'll come out with $250,000. At least it's something, you quarter million plus the 100 you got in, you got 350. It's great money. It'll change people's lives. You try to save up $250,000 in a year, and on deaf ears, clearly. And now that property is probably worth 5.5. So, like, what are you up? 100 grand, 80,000 if you own the property since, I don't know, 2017, 2018, just around there. So it's basically 8 or 9 years, and you've done nothing with it, no appreciation, which is so heartbreaking. This isn't not the only case. We've had multiple cases like this as well, where we gave our 2 cents and advice, and also took action personally in what we were doing, and went on deaf ears. And just, again, going forward, if you still do have investment properties, get rid of them. Don't hold on to them. Just buy them back later. Again, this is an old story, but it still rings true. If you got a lot of equity into them and you bought them at a very low price, and obviously in a very depressed market, let's say pre 2016, let's say 2014, 2013, probably a good idea. Cash out that extra equity you have in now, stick it in a GIC or whatever the hell you want to do with it, put into some sort of safety or in the US, and away you go. But that's the news for today, folks. Have a good one.